So you began speaking at schools, at primary and secondary schools, I believe. Was it difficult to convince people to initially allow you to speak?
Oh yes, it was very difficult. So as you see, one of the cons of teenagers, people just don't trust you. People think that you're a 16-year-old. What are you going to do? You're just 16. How can you speak in front of a class of 18-year-olds, 10th grade students? I was 16 when I addressed a class of 10th grade students. So the first school that I went to wasn't my school. It was Kilburn St. Joseph School. It was missionary school back in the city of Nasik. So when I went to the school, the principal of the school, Sister Grace, she was very astonished. But I think in one way, she saw the spark in my eyes. She saw the passion. She could feel it. So she allowed me to address the class of 5th grade. When she heard me speak with 5th grade students, she thought I needed a little bit of improvement. And it was my first attempt. It was my very first time I spoke to students. So she thought I needed a little bit of improvement, but she saw the spark in me. So the next morning, she called me again, and she asked me to address the other class of 5th grade. And that way it started. It just sparked off. It just triggered off at that school. And I spoke almost till 10th grade. And then I started going to other schools, started convincing them with a small presentation to the principals. Then when the principals were convinced, they allowed me to speak to the students. And slowly it went to about 20 schools when I was approached by media persons. And they covered my venture, they covered my workshops, they covered my seminars, and that way, slowly, most of the schools in Nasik allowed me to speak at different schools. And then I approached the Minister of Education in Maharashtra, and he allowed me to go to as many schools as I could in the district of Nasik, as well as other schools around in Maharashtra. So that way, I started with schools, and then later on teachers invited me for teacher training workshops, doctors invited me for motivation workshop, because nurses invited me, and then I was invited at the jail. I was invited at the Central Jail of India and several other juvenile delinquent homes where I spoke to juvenile delinquents. They're just 16-year-old and they have felonies. It was very interesting to speak with all these people. Above all, I loved my experience when I was in small villages, because students in the city definitely have a lot of extracurricular experience, but people in the villages really don't have that much or that kind of an exposure to the world. So it was very interesting to go to all those villages and address those 40,000 plus students back in very small villages. And you kind of eat the khichdi with those kids. It was amazing. It was just one of the best experiences of my life to be with those kids.
What would you say as the best experience of your life?
The best experience of my life. Well, the best experience of my life would probably be attending, one of these seminars in the United States, and I was at a school in Iowa, and that's just stereotypes about people that these kids in Iowa usually have, because Iowa is a small state, a small farm state, where they have a lot of farms and predominantly white people. And I was at the school with the 3rd graders, which was very interesting because I've never addressed 3rd grade students. And I was at the school, I wore the Indian attire, and I went to the school and I was speaking to the kids about India. I was speaking to the kids about statistics. I was speaking to the kids about the population, the diversity, the customs. And one kid in the crowd asked me a question. Akash, are you surrounded by animals in India? And I was like, oh gosh, people have different perceptions about the world. So see, that is one thing that is so critical to me. I want to make people more and more aware about the colors in life, about the diversity in life, the kinds of people that exist on this earth. There are many people who are still in the shadows and do not even know that there's a country like Saudi Arabia, or there's a country like Burma, or there's a country like China. People don't even know if China exists. So there are several countries, even back in India. I do not blame the Iowans for it, but there has to be some kind of cultural awareness. There has to be some kind of cultural education. People need to know about the people in this world and what kind of people exist on this world, on this planet, and what kind of customs they practice. And we need to learn to be tolerant to all these kinds of customs.
Well, since I have started working internationally, it has been just a few months. Most of the foreigners I have contacted who have never visited India, they generally ask me huge amount of questions about how India is like and what exactly is there in India. How many times are you asked the same type of questions?
Well, a lot of people, and I'm surprised that they definitely know nothing about India. It's very rare to find people who are educated and who know a lot about India, and it's rare. I'm saying this country, I have had experience meeting thousands of people, and it's just exciting because I just roll into laughter as soon as they start asking me questions about India that are definitely not related to our culture. Questions like, are you surrounded by animals in India?
That one was what I'll remember ever and ever from now on.
I know, but I appreciate the kid's innocence because the child was probably just 11 or 12 years old. I appreciate the kid's innocence. So we really love the kid.
That sure is a point. You just mentioned one con of being a teenager, that no one listens to you. What would be the pros that you would like to mention about being a teenager?
Well, I would say one of the pros is the ability to make a mistake. You make mistakes and you do not get severe penalties for it. In certain families you probably do, but when you are a teenager you learn to make mistakes and you learn from your mistakes. That is a very critical period of your life when you make several mistakes. And I'm pretty sure that, teenagers around the globe are often treated with some kind of respect from their family, and they teach them certain things during this age. So you make mistakes and you learn from them. And the teenage books. Now, the book is related to the stress in life. That is an age when you learn to deal with stress. That is an age when you learn to manage your time. And many kids fail to do that in that particular age. They fail to even make those mistakes and learn from them. They keep continuously repeating those mistakes. That is one thing that really, annoys me at times when I see young 16-year-old kids back in India, because in the United States it's not that easy to drink and smoke at the age of 16. Back in India there are several incentives to smoke and drink. So the teenage books, many of them very effectively deal with those books, with the stressful events in life. When you have, when you have so many tests, when you have so many classes to attend, and your schedule is so hectic that you learn how to deal with stress. That means they are preparing you for the world in the future. That's what you're going to do in the professional world in the long run. So the teenage books and the stress and the ability to make mistakes are some of the pros.
Okay, nice. What would be one important belief of yours that you're going to trust no matter what comes in front of you?
One important belief that I would trust. Can you say that again?
What would be that one important belief of yours that you would trust no matter what circumstances you are put into?
Well, that is a very good question. I try to practice this myself. I know that it's very easy to say things at times and not really practice them. I remember saying once that everything in this world is either an act of love or a call for love. And I've successfully been able to practice this thing. This is what I believe in, no matter what the circumstances, no matter how irritated I am, no matter how stressful my day has been, no matter how mad a person is at me, or no matter how low I feel in my life on that particular day. I know that everything in this world is either an act of love or a call for love.
Mm-hmm.
So whatever I do should be an act of love, compassion, and tolerance. Or else, if somebody's trying to be mad at me, I know that I'm not going to be mad at him again. I'm not going to be mad in return. I will learn to be tolerant toward that person. I would learn to be soft and kind-hearted. I would learn to take that as a call for love. So that is one belief that I would always believe in.
Another amazing view I got from you. Well, the last question that I'd like to put, the heavy questions, the last one would be, what message would you like to give to the teens out there?
Well, that is a very important question.
Thank you.
And the only thing that I would like to tell the teenagers is, if we want to live in a peaceful world, if we want to live in a war-free world, if we want to live in a world with no agony, no misery, we need to learn tolerance. And I've always mentioned this in most of my workshops, that we do not go to school or we do not go to college to simply get a job or an academic degree at a convocation. That is not our role, or that is not our goal in life. We don't simply go to college to get an academic degree. People like me go to college to stand next to fat, thin, ugly, beautiful, whether they're gay, lesbian, transgendered, whether they're straight, bisexual, stupid, or smart, or whatever their orientation is. I go to college to stand next to such people without feeling embarrassed.
That's amazing.
There are several people who would stand next to an obese classmate and make fun of her. But there are people like me who go to college, who stand next to such people, consider them as human beings, treat them as human beings with compassion, and learn to be tolerant towards them. Education to me is tolerance. It is to me love and compassion for another human being. At times we can reject religion, we can reject ideology, and we can even reject received wisdom, but we cannot escape the need for love and compassion. Nobody on this earth can escape the need for love and compassion.
It was really amazing having you here, and it was really amazing talking to you. I guess I've learned lots of things today, and I guess our readers and our viewers are also going to learn a lot of things.
Thank you so much, Rupal. I must mention again that I'm impressed in the first place to see a 16-year-old of your stature. You're just a 16-year-old. The way you've been dealing with such epoch-making personalities, I must say they're really epoch-making. All those kids that you've met around the globe, they're doing things with a difference. And you are one of those. As a 16-year-old, you take time out of your school schedule. You're so busy yourself with your classes, with your school, with exams. You still take out time to inspire thousands of other kids, which is commendable, which is laudable at this point of your life. You're doing an excellent job.
Thank you so much for saying that. That really means a lot coming from you.
And I look forward to keep in touch with you, to keep in touch with your organization and help in as many ways as possible.
It would be an honor having you.
Thank you so much.